Welcome to the Royal Library of Foundrin. Here, we house the largest collection of publicly accessible knowledge in the Bellhold. If you are seeking information on the Borkish Frostlands to the south, this memoir will aid your search. It's written by a mountain trader who knows more about what is beyond those mountains than anyone else alive. The book is called Survival in Vlacida. I'm sure it will whet your appetite for adventure. Or perhaps you will heed its warning and venture elsewhere.
Vlacida, Borkdom Frostlands, Dragon Country, Land of the King. Whatever you want to call the land beyond the Palatine Mountains, they all warn of at least one of two things: the cold and the dragon. And be not mistaken, those are only the most dire elements encountered. 3 endings await any who venture forth. You die frozen, you die bloody, or you live. But the land is also beguilingly beautiful and vast. The white is purer than pearl, and when wildflowers bloom, I've never seen an artist come close. Nowhere else on ochre compares. The beauty comes at a cost. White snow, blue ice. They come from a cold so deep that exposure means certain death. Watch your pace. If you sweat, you risk it freezing and taking your heat all the faster. If you must exert yourself, best remove a layer of clothing. The sun may seem remote, but the brightness reflecting off the white will blind the careless. You also have to be careful of the wildlife there. Most creatures are predators, omnivores, or otherwise dangerous. There are several species of carnivore. They range in size from the small and aggressive ermine to the big, giant cave bear. The herbivores may not be interested in you as a meal, but if they sense the slightest threat, they will use their size and aggressive nature to ensure safety for their herd, their offspring, or their territory. There are positive aspects to the wildlife. Most who venture out there are interested in procuring hides. One of the most useful is mammoth. While difficult to find, and even more difficult to kill, mammoth hides provide unrivaled fur for coats. It can be shaved shorter and worn with the skin on. It can be spun and woven together, or my personal favorite, you can braid the long shaggy strands and keep the skin intact. This provides a wonderful insulating layer of trapped air, makes it harder to sink in iced water, and some tassels can be used as tool loops, reducing the amount needed to be worn inside your pack. Ermine, ice beaver, different foxes, and otter furs are usually the most desirable for high-end luxury trade. But carabao, musk ox, and great elk are much larger, and if kept pristine, may fetch a higher price per kill. More than the outside of an animal is valuable, though. Due to the large size, high density of some creature bones, their value can be great, especially when compared to other species found in more habitable locations. The meat is usually too heavy to make the effort of carrying them worth it, but they can be sold to locals or eaten. Most, while gamey, are very full of flavor and nutrients. Organs of some creatures can fetch good prices as well. They can be sold as delicacies or even alchemical ingredients. If hunting and trapping aren't to your interest, there is plenty of value to be found underground if you know where to look. Vlacida is home to an unusually high amount of meteorite, as well as other minerals. Extracting minerals requires some extra book learning to know what to look for. Because snow covers the ground most of the time, you need a fair amount of knowledge about how many of these minerals form to even begin looking. The easiest way to start is to find a sheer cliff that has a steep enough face where it doesn't get coated in snow. If you are lucky, you can see a vein worth mining. Another way to find precious stones is to delve a Veshten ruin. There you may encounter pre-cut and polished gems if you aren't afraid of Veshten curses or booby traps. A delve can be some of the most profitable work done beyond the Palatine Mountains, but does require prior research. Without any book knowledge, the only way to really get any valuable metals is to pan for it during the thaw. When you are in the snow, there are a few things you will want to have packed. The first and most important are layered clothes. Temperature control is the thing you want to be on top of most. Have thin, comfortable undergarments. You will be moving a lot and need to ensure rubbing and chafing is kept to a minimum. Over that, you want thick wool. This will be your last defense against the wet and cold, but should be tightly woven, as it will have to work as outer cloth if you need to shed. Make sure your shoes are resistant to being cut and are waterproof. Next, you will need to ensure you can sleep. Bring a large blanket as well as extra coverings. You will need a fire bag full of everything required to light a fire quickly. Bark tinder, bulrush puffs, flint and steel, weighted fire stick, charcoal. I keep my charcoal fresh and uncrushed by keeping it in a cooking pot till I need to use it. I use a thick leather cask kept in my coat, so if I run low, I can fill it with snow, and my body heat will warm it without sucking excess heat from me. Keep preservable food and only eat it in emergencies. Most of your food you should get up there. Bring your preferred hunting gear. Bows, traps, spears, whatever you feel most comfortable using. Have pinions and climbing rope. The ice changes every season, and you might need to climb someplace that you didn't have to before. Be able to bring everything you need on your person, or in a personal sled. You cannot rely on a group to carry anything for anyone else. If they die with your gear, you are both dead. It's a bad idea to go in groups anyway. You attract too much attention, and the safety given by numbers is usually not worth it. If you are traveling with companions at all, keep a good distance from one another. Far enough that no calamity that befalls one will doom the others, but close enough that should the need arise, you can come to their aid. Be wary when crossing ice. If the ice is shallow, too many people can cause it to break. If it is thick, chasms may spring out of nowhere. They are difficult to spot and very treacherous. Try to keep good communication over distances. It helps to have a horn to signal if anything is amiss. But keep calls to a minimum. You don't know who else might hear.
You may get the attention of a local. The worst are the Exiles. These are those who have broken the Borg's laws and were banished for it. While most exiles choose to go wander the continent, some don't get that right and are forced here. They are usually desperate and resentful. Nothing good comes from an exile encounter. The most dangerous are other professionals. They know how to survive out there and are not likely to give aid, but are very likely to defend their gain. The Borkish laws are more lenient out there, so they won't have to explain your deaths to a sheriff or judge or your families. The other folk you may run into living beyond the mountain are Hermits, druids, or those otherwise not interested in leaving. Most hermits are Veshtans who decided not to move after the collapse of their society. One way or another, they think living there is better than any alternative. Some are Veshtan nationals and are not too happy to see humans roaming their ancestral land in search of treasure. Most druids are there to be closer to some form of magic or another, be it alchemical or more mysterious forms. Many of these druids are very secretive about their magic, so don't ask too many questions and be very polite. Even if you think you can take one in a fight, you don't know if it has a befriended dragon who will seek revenge. You do not want an angry dragon. They are worse than wild dragons in every stretch of the imagination. While you are beyond the mountains, do your very best to never come into contact with a dragon. There are a few different kinds, and none are safe to encounter. The smallest and wildest dragons are the most common. After a hatchling has left its den, it will be on the hunt for food and territory. They spend their early years as dim creatures, no smarter than house cats, and just as violent, only much bigger. They will grow out of this phase only after they get bigger than the average cottage. But before they do, they fight any creature they can, even amongst each other. They have a nasty habit of eating only their favorite pieces of each kill, so they are rarely too full to hunt or fly. It takes about 15 years before they become cottage-sized dragons. After they do, their growth diminishes drastically, while their intelligence grows. These dragons start to also grow in their magical prowess. Before now, their only magic was fire, and even that was more alchemic process than true magic. But past this point, they learn the ability to hibernate and absorb ambient magic. With skill, they can develop new spells and breath, a variety of different elemental sprays, though only one at a time. This variety means there is no definite defense against all draconic magic. Someone with a keen eye and knowledge of alchemy might be able to guess what kind of magic a dragon has absorbed. There are many variable side effects when a dragon learns a spell. For instance, an ice dragon usually has a unique frosty color, more gracile horns and spikes, while a poison dragon loses some of its extra thick scales, making a smoother appearance. From now on, they keep growing larger and smarter. It is unknown if there is an upper limit. The only thing stopping this is the king beyond the mountain. He has no challengers and is by far the largest and oldest living dragon. Some scholars say he died of old age, but I believe he is meditating, hibernating, getting stronger. One day, amidst the eternal waves of time, from a ripple of change, shall the storm arise. Out of the abyss peers the eyes of a demon. Behold the dragon, its wings of black sheath. The demon soars the dark skies. Fear and death trail its shadow beneath, until men unite, wield a hallowed saber. In the final reckoning, the beast is slain. As the demon sleeps, man turns on man. His own blood and madness soon cover the earth. From the depths of despair awakens the dragon, its raven wings ablaze in majestic light. But enough prophecies. I bet you want to know how to kill a dragon. The first thing I recommend
is to reconsider. There are plenty of other ways to get yourself killed. But if you are dead set on going, this is one of the times where it is okay to go in a group. You want to go recruited by a professional band. They will teach you the ropes. Once again, the first thing you want to keep track of is equipment. Most of the equipment is the same, except the weapons and armor. While most heavy armor is disadvantageous, in Vlacida, Dragon Hunter armor is an exception. It is designed to fit over the extra padding you wear and is designed to be more removable quickly. If you need to run at full speed, there you go. There are many different types, and most professionals heavily customize their own. You will know real quick what parts of your armors need changing, or it'll get in the way mid-fight, and you won't have to worry about it after that, because you'll be dead. Once you have everything down and ready, then the hunt begins. Most hunts take a few days to travel to an area where they know that only one cottage and no older dragons claim. Then they leave some sort of bait. Each hunter has his preference. Usually smelly and fatty guts. If you aren't planning on gathering any organs for alchemical parts, you can even put a poison in the bait. It takes a lot less than you would think to affect a dragon, but a lot more than you'd expect to hurt it. That's why most poisons for dragon revolve around sleep, dizziness, or hallucinogen. Once the dragon is affected, the group pops out and tries to tie the creature down with harpoon bolts. Form specially crafted heavy crossbows. Once the beast is grounded, a couple of very experienced men lance the creature, careful not to hit anything too valuable. Sometimes they aim for the neck and let the dragon bleed out slowly. It takes longer and therefore increases the chance of attracting unwanted attention. Older dragons might not care as much, unless it was apparent. But wild dragons smell the blood and come to claim territory, as well as the magical nutrition that boosts a dragon's maturity. It's very important to mask the smell for another reason. Kobolds have a strong relationship towards dragons. While they would never kill a dragon, they relish the opportunity to eat one. They have a similar ability to dragons in that they can absorb energy, but they are restricted to draconic energy. This is evident when a pack of kobolds have eaten a dragon recently, or live near a powerful one. They grow taller and more intelligent, and they guard their energy sources jealously. While they could be considered the locals, they could just as well be considered part of the wildlife. This is why I have left them a spot at the end of this introduction, because no matter how hard you try, they never feel quite the same as anything else. The sense of familiarity skewed by some unknown feature is always with them. They seem almost dragon-like, but there is a definite distinction. Same goes for their serpent qualities. They fit nowhere. Some scholars have attempted to categorize them along with goblin, but besides surface-level similarity, everything else is unique. The individual packs or tribes are also unique from each other. What can be said for sure is that they feel very much at home in Vlacida. They have home field advantage in every sense of the phrase, and the only way to ensure that your interactions don't end barbarically is to barter. They may not be bright, but they have a grand sense of curiosity, and will put far more value into knickknacks than any other creature up there. It is always helpful to keep random items for trading if you come into contact with them. But be careful, the value is in the uniqueness of the item, so try not to trade the same thing to the same pack twice.
Beast from the East coming straight from the underground. Like, comment, subscribe, then hit the real subscribe button to get notifications. Okay. Now we got bloopers. So we get 30 subscribers, we'll release them. No 30 subscribers, no bloopers. No funny. No good.